Hey Lydia, we just got a download about the difference between trying to force ourselves into a rigid structure and our ability to actually decide what we're going to do, commit to what we're going to do, and not have to worry about, do I trust myself to feel like I'm in the mood, trust myself to not sabotage it or procrastinate, but actually the only way for us to address what is distracting us is to actually know what we're focusing on. And by knowing what we're focusing on, that creates clarity, that creates a sense of direction. And it's very important that we actually tune into the heart and slow things way, way down and actually let our heart decide what we want, especially during Leo season, to let our heart decide what it wants and to honor that and to allow that to be the focus. Because if we can decide that the heart is going to decide what the focus is and to define what the focus is, then we can better equip ourselves to actually discern what is a distraction and what is pulling us away from that direction. And that actually came through fasting. And I noticed that I hadn't set a time when I was going to break fast. And by not setting a time for when I was going to break fast, I spent a lot of my energy thinking about when am I going to eat and am I hungry? And if I'm hungry, or am I pushing things too far? If I'm pushing things too far, maybe I should eat, maybe I shouldn't. Should I actually keep going to see? That is a huge energetic commitment versus being like, I'm going to break my fast at 1 o'clock. And the only sort of factor that would change that decision is if I could clearly feel I'm not feeling well and I need to eat, to eating beforehand. And that really only being the alternate factor. And I'm going to break my fast at 1 o'clock. And that actually freed me up a lot of mental space and a lot of energy and a lot of bandwidth. So I thought that was beautiful that, in order to master distraction, you actually have to know what your heart wants and what your heart is calling you toward, and to actually define those things, and then to further define them by actually setting aside space for it. And if our heart is the one setting aside space for it, then it is our heart that's going to hold us accountable when it's time, as opposed to coming to that time being, well, I don't feel like it. Which is probably an indicator that you're forcing something, and not to judge it, because the judging will actually reinforce that, but actually being in the energy of, okay, um, I'm feeling this resistance toward it, so I'm going to let it go. And I'm going to actually, interrogate my heart as to why I sabotaged that or why I didn't show up to that, and actually ask, which goes back to slowing things way down and actually having space where we're not consuming, actually having space where things are, we aren't also having rambling thoughts, and actually figuring out what those things are that put us in that state of presence of where, things are just at a snail's pace, and or completely still. And that takes some conditioning, it takes some reconditioning, and it takes some commitment, which can be a starting point. It's definitely a starting point for me. It's this energy of being able to, accept what I need and not resist it and not try to fill it because with things I don't care about or things that are familiar, because it's uncomfortable. And it's actually been beautiful because everything is guidance, and I truly believe that. And I've been experimenting with fasting, and I've been increasing my fasting windows. And in that, I've noticed that when I'm properly fasted, I just broke fast, in this my longest fast ever. I made 20 and a half hours. And it wasn't hard. It happened naturally. I built up to it naturally. And in that fasted state, I found myself so focused, so calm, so present, so much more willing to be still and to not fill things and not fill the space with things just because. And that actually led to this download, which is what led me to this video. And yeah, it's beautiful. And I'm so happy I did it. And I think if we can allow ourselves that grace to actually go and see and actually push ourselves into spaces we've never been before, that's when downloads and information really starts to rush in, and we start to get clarity on things, and even things that have already happened of how it got us to this point, how things are working for us, and that the resistance we've been feeling, or those periods where we felt like we were not doing what we need to be doing, in the long term and in actual reality, was actually serving us. So I hope this message resonates. I'm sending love and wishing you well. Bye.